Okay, so when we talk about karma, one of the topics we often talk about is group karma or collective karma. You know, the karma that we create together with other people, and how this and how it's very important to select the groups we join and what the purposes of the group are, because we create the karma of the purpose of the group whenever somebody in that group does that kind of action. So when I heard about the teachings in South India, one of the first feelings I felt was, I want to be part of that group. Okay, so it's not only to go to hear His Holiness's teachings, not only to enrich my Dharma education, but because I've lived in India before and been part of that big group that gathers together, with everybody having some level of bodhicitta, you know, some from this to big. But it's a group that's gathering together with a really wonderful intention. And for me, just being in that environment is very, very nourishing. And so while the situation on one hand is extremely crowded, people here who say I need space will never make it in India at one of these events, when you're standing in long lines and people are crushed in, and you're sitting in a place and everybody's crushed in, although this time we weren't quite as crowded as usual. But just you're sitting, you know, surrounded by thousands of people, and the loud, and the, you know, PA system is so loud, you know, that it's just really intruding, not so much His Holiness's talk, but the chanting, you know. So this chanting that you usually think is beautiful, all of a sudden it's so loud that you can feel the cells of your body vibrate. And you're going, and people, when they're walking around, when we were walking around Drepung in the break time, people were like this, you know, just because it was so loud near the speakers with the chanting. Anyway, you know, so you have these certain kind of difficulties, and also the fact that the cold goes around and everybody gets sick. But there's something so special in being in a group of people who have gathered together to listen to the Dharma and increase their wisdom and compassion. Yeah, and it's totally different than when you go to a football game or a basketball game or graduation or you know, any of the numerous kinds of groups that we're a part of. It's a very different feeling, because in this kind of group, especially with thousands of people, you're basically nobody. You know, His Holiness is talking to thousands of people, so you don't expect to, you know, kind of like, here I am, you know, look at me. But the teachings, but you listen to the teachings with an open heart, knowing that they are directed specifically to you as an individual, even though He's giving them to the entire group. Yeah, and then at the end, when we were, you know, we did a couple of long life offerings for His Holiness, and then at the end of the teachings, when we were singing the Migsema, the verse to Lama Tsongkhapa, and there's another melody, you know, which was actually the first melody I learned. I don't know why we adopted the second one here, but anyway, that one is so beautiful, and everybody was like chanting it at the end, and I could just hear there were some Tibetan monks behind me, and they were screaming it. But it was really lovely, because there was just this feeling of mutual respect and regard for the Buddha and for Je Rinpoche, you know, and how fortunate we were to hear those teachings. So it was quite beautiful, quite beautiful. And as you know, Labab Duchen, the anniversary of the Buddha's descent from the God realm after teaching his mother during one rainy season. That occurred when we were there. And so all the monasteries were all lit up, and Khamsin were all lit up. There were lights everywhere, not only for that, but for His Holiness's visit. But then in the evening, you know, after puja, then people are walking around chanting the Miksema. And so you have, huh? Yeah. No, it wasn't Lama Tsongkhapa Day, it was Labab Duchen. Yeah, I wrote to you and I said that everybody should take precepts that day.
We did.
Yeah.
We did, but it was
Okay. Yeah. So,
Labab Duchen was November 6th, it was election day.
oh, you're right, it was Lama Tsongkhapa Day. Yeah, sorry, it was Lama Tsongkhapa Day. So, yeah, because that's why everybody was walking around chanting. Yeah, but it was so sweet, you know, because I was upstairs. I got interested in reading something by Jay Rinpoche at that time, so I didn't go out. But I could hear all the little monks, you know, and then the older monks, but, you know, there was something so nice about it, knowing that every year you're in the monastery, there's this same holiday, and everybody does this and joins together, you know, with one common goal. So usually when there's a football game, you know, your common goal is to trash the other team, and that brings up a certain kind of mentality, you know, and certain mental factors in your mind. Yeah, I was just writing to one of the inmates I correspond with, and, you know, he belongs to a group according to his ethnicity and his race, and it gives you a certain, you know, feeling of belonging in this and that, yeah. But as I was writing to him, sometimes these senses of belonging, they provide security and so on, but they also confine you. You know, because there's a lot of demands from the group. But when you can go in this kind of situation and just be part of the group and with your heart in it, and there's no demands on you, then it's really, really lovely. Yeah. Yeah, so I appreciated that. And I'm sure you know, those of you who are going to the Sarnath teachings, you'll feel something similar. The teachings will be shorter, you know, but you know, with people gathering for that virtuous purpose, it's very special. Yeah. And then, of course, the trick is to keep your mind from not judging other people in the group, because it's like when you're part of a group, well, I'm part of the group because of this. Now, what are you acting like that for? That doesn't belong with how we're supposed to act and what we're supposed to think and what we're supposed to do in my group. Yeah, and so you notice this kind of judgmental mind going on, okay? But we have to release it and just remember people's goodness and people's good qualities and the virtuous reason for which we came together, and give everybody their space.